Hey folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And today we're going to return to Zena, the drummer from Germany, but now living in London. We're going to reach back into the past a little bit to 2020 and watch her cover of U2's Sunday Bloody Sunday. We were around when U2 was coming up. This was the first album that entered our mental space, I guess. First one that we actually heard.
Yeah, radar.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And in fact, in my very first band and for my very first paid gig, I had to play New Year's Day, which is on this album. Sunday Bloody Sunday is one of their best tracks, I think. I mean, one of my favorite U2 tracks, back when they were still scrappy and hungry a little bit. Mm-hmm. And Zena always does amazing covers, so we wanted to check this out. Somebody actually specifically requested this one. I thought, that's a good idea. I like that idea.
Yeah.
We have no other content by U2 on this channel, so pretty interested in checking this out. Adrian, any thoughts ahead before we look at this?
I remember I used to have the War album. I remember looking forward to getting that album back when it came out.
Yeah, at the time it was, it was a pretty good album.
Yeah.
Let's see what Zena did with this. This is released January of 2020. All right, let's go ahead and check it out. We will discuss afterwards.
All righty.
Oh, I can't close my eyes and make it go away.
I'm sure Zena worked on her snare drum, at least, in her drum set to get this sound. She perfectly mastered the popping sound of the snare drum in this song.
I would agree with that. There were some things that are noteworthy about that drum part. It's almost all snare drum and closed hi-hat, partially open, and bass drum, marching bass drum that just goes boom, 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 boom throughout the whole song. And I don't think that the original had any toms. That was the thing about it that was so unusual back then, because it sounded like a marching, kind of like a marching band. The song itself actually is based on a real-life event that happened in Derry, over in Northern Ireland, in 1972. There's a Bloody Sunday massacre that happened where the British soldiers fired on unarmed civilians during a civil rights march. So in 1983, when this song came out, U2 sounded positively unique.
Yeah, it has a very unusual drum riff.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's also very specific. I learned a few things just watching Zena play it. The very sparse and almost too immediate drum sound on purpose, to show kind of the panic of the day. The Edge playing guitar the way that people hadn't really heard the guitar played at this point. Like, Edge actually was kind of an innovator. When he started off, no one really sounded like that. The bass has that tone to it that's very in-your-face, down-to-earth, raw. And then you've got Bono talking about the whole thing on top there. And there's even a little bit where you hear a fiddle in there. And due to the timing of this, I thought back then, and I still think today, that was probably inspired by Dexy's Midnight Runners' Come On Eileen song that had come out a year or two earlier, because they had a violin playing that way, short strokes. That's the thing. The whole composition sounds like there's a battle going on, and you're going into it, fists flying. So I think that Zena did a very good job of interpreting that song. I don't think it lost any of the power that the original had. And I learned a few things, like I said, just about, people probably don't think about it, but just trying to play the snare like that in a specific way and get it right is not easy. And to also have a drummer that stays on the bass drum, the snare, and a closed hi-hat, and the occasional crash cymbal, that was weird in and of itself. That was like, to the ear, it was like, whoa. Is he broke? He's only got two drums and a couple. No, it was totally supposed to be about this situation. Anyway, Zena did an excellent job on this. This was a great suggestion. I really appreciate it. Adrian, any closing thoughts on this?
I just say kudos to Zena for doing this song. It takes a lot to play this one. The rhythm is quite different from most songs.
Yeah.
And also, Zena just never gets greedy with the drums. She always plays it as it should be played.
Yeah, the only things that she did, she took some liberties at the end and added a couple of toms. And, I understand that. She waited till the very end to start adding that, which would be the appropriate place to do something like that. So I thought it worked. So, all right. Well, folks, why don't you let us know what you thought of this? And if you've heard the song lately, if you were a YouTube fan, or if you still are, if you've heard this before, this particular cover by Zena, let us know. Any other thoughts you have, leave them below. If you have suggestions, leave those as well. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed our presentation, please subscribe. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you on the next one. All right. Take care, folks.
See you all later.